But I have to say, towards the end of his life, he did say to me, Breti, the worst mistake I made in my life was leaving my homeland.
This week, episode 141, is a poignant episode of the Assyrian podcast. Our guest this week is Shoushan Tower, former and long-serving treasurer of the Assyrian Aid Society, Australia. In the interview, Shoushan discusses her arrival in 1960s Australia as a young girl in a pioneering Assyrian family, but unique in that her Assyrian patriotism had grown in her many years in the diaspora. Her patriotism manifested in the Assyrian Aid Society Australia, where she served as treasurer until last year. In her years of service to the AAS, Shoushan returned to the homeland many times, and it was interesting to hear her views on the homeland despite being firmly established in Australia. While the interview was recorded in February this year, in it she remarked on AAS Iraq President Ashur Sargon Assyria and the challenges that COVID poses for Assyrians in the homeland, with such an ill-prepared health system. The interview is unknowingly ominous, as Ashur Sargon Assyria himself contracted COVID-19 and left this earth on Friday the 9th of April 2021 to become a shining star in our nation's sky, as beautifully said by his comrade Yaqub Gewargis Yahu. He was only 47 years of age. As well as being the president of AAS Iraq, Menachem Rabbi Ashur Sargon Assyria was also a Politburo member of the Assyrian Democratic Movement, or Zoa in Assyrian. He leaves behind his wife Rezina, two daughters Shamiram and Berta, and son Sanchiru. We begin the interview with Shoushan Tower, and after the interview you will hear a short but sweet remark in Assyrian from ADM Deputy Secretary General and Politburo member Yaqub Gewargis Yahu at Ashur's funeral in Iraq. May he rest in peace. Before we begin, I'd just like to take the opportunity to remind you to make sure you subscribe to the podcast, rate and review us wherever and whenever you listen to them. Also, if you know someone who should be on the podcast, please reach out to us. You can find more information about nominating future guests on our website. This episode is sponsored by the Shoushan Partners, a husband and wife real estate team. Are you considering purchasing or selling a home in Arizona or California? John and Rita are available to help make your next real estate decision into a seamless transaction. You can contact the Shoushaners at 209-968-9519. That's 209-968-9519. Get to know them a bit more by checking out their website, theashanapartners.com, and that's spelled Oushana. The Assyrian podcast is also brought to you by Tony Kalogerakos and the injury lawyers of Illinois and New York. If you know anyone that has been in a serious accident, please reach out to Tony Kalogerakos. Tony has been recognized as a top 40 lawyer and a rising star by Super Lawyers publication. He has obtained multiple multi-million-dollar awards. Tony can be reached at injuryrights.com or telephone 847-982-9516. That's 847-982-9516. And now, Shoushan Tower. Shoushan Tower, welcome to the Assyrian podcast.
Thank you, Ninos. I'm happy to be here.
It's great being here. We're actually at the Assyrian Australian Association offices in Sydney, and I'm wearing a mask, but I'm wearing a mask because it's actually a great noise filter.
And I'm not, because it's more comfortable without it.
It is hot. It is hot. It's pretty hot outside. It's about 42 degrees.
I was only 37, I thought. But yeah, really, 42.
My car said 42.
Okay. I believe you.
That's great. Yeah. There's a long history in this office.
Oh, definitely. Actually, not just the office itself, the grounds. It brings back a lot of memories. 50 odd years of memories here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our fathers and friends and people that we've known over the years and known and grown apart. But we're still here, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about your family history with this place, the Assyrian Australian Association.
Oh, look, every time I think about it, it gives me a funny feeling. My dad, from his younger days when he arrived to Australia, I think the first week, I believe he was typing the Constitution of Assyrian Australian Association. That's in 1969, November 1969. So ever since then, Dad was involved with the association itself. And then, of course, years later, when they amazingly bought the property and built a club, an Inwa club, and years after that, maintaining that beautiful, we used to go to these parties and we used to meet our friends there. It was not just the buying of the land, it was just this community togetherness. We did everything together. And in those days, there were only a few handful of people that sort of knew each other pretty close. And so memories are beautiful. I'm proud of our fathers for what they've done in the past, because without them, today I have so many great friends that I still have contact with because of those times that we spent together for years and years and years. I guess they were the pioneers, the first pioneers that arrived in Australia. So they did a wonderful job, amazing job, especially buying the land in here in well, it's not Fairfield. It's used to be called Smithfield, but I think now it's Denzer Park, and then building the club. And for years they used to have these beautiful Assyrian parties. We used to enjoy so much because that was when we were very young, and we used to come and meet here and have a great time with. And sometimes a lot of times we'd bring Assyrian singers from overseas, and especially from America. So it was a great time and it's a good thing to look back to.
Was this in the 70s?
Definitely, 70s, yeah. Right through, early 70s, right through 80s and so forth. And then eventually our fathers started to retire and other people came in and so forth and so forth. So, yeah.
That's interesting. So you were born here?
No. I was born in Kirkuk, Iraq, 1957. So we're only there for a short while. I don't have many memories of Kirkuk at all. Then my parents moved to Baghdad. Dad used to work for the oil company IPC.
Yeah.
So he moved to Baghdad, and Dad built a home there in Baghdad. And then not only, I think it was only 4 years afterwards he decided to migrate, to actually leave Iraq.
Why did he want to leave Iraq?
I think I've always heard him saying to us, Arabai, Hamasha, the word Arabai, Arabs, was always a problem for Dad, not having enough freedom of speech, being criticized, and there was a lot of racism, of course, against the Assyrians, against their religion and so forth. But not as bad as these days. There was small wars, but nothing like in the last 20 or 30 years that's been happening in Iraq. So, and then what Dad did, he went to London for a short trip with Mum, and as soon as he saw another world, like for instance the West or the English countries, when he came back to Iraq, he made a decision to leave Iraq, and that's what I think that concreted his decision to leave Iraq and wanted to go somewhere else.
It's one decision to leave Iraq, but it's also another decision to go to Australia.
Yes, so Dad wanted to come to Australia, but not Mum. So Dad had his brother here, you see, and that's why he wanted to come to Australia to be with his younger brother.
I see.
But he left his older brother in Iraq, so he was like in two worlds. And
yeah.
And then I think the other reason he I have two brothers, and with Iraq you had to go to army once you reach a certain age.
Conscription.
Yeah, so he wanted to get his sons out of there as well. But the main reason was because he wasn't comfortable living among the way they were treated back then, and that was the main reason he left Iraq. But I have to say, towards the end of his life, he did say to me, Breti, the worst mistake I made in my life was leaving my homeland. That always stayed in my mind since then. It was a quite emotional statement coming from Dad.
I'm sorry to hear about your father passing. How long ago was this?
2006.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Quite recent.
Oh, yeah, it feels like that, but it's been a while, so yeah. So every time I come to this beautiful building, Ninwa Club, or we used to call it Ninwa Club, it's no more Ninwa Club. It's Ninwe, but not a club. I feel I'm at home. I feel my dad around.
Indeed.
And of course his friends.
Yeah.
He loved his friends, the group that he was with. They enjoyed their life together here. And so when we migrated, we left Iraq, we went to Lebanon, and we stayed there for a little while, and then eventually Dad said to Mum, we've got to make a move. So Dad and my younger brother came and stayed over Tuma's house, because they were friends from Iraq, and they stayed there for a little while, and then eventually we joined Dad.
Okay, yeah.
And so I went through late primary here, high school, without speaking a word of English, but trying to understand. Not much education in the primary high school here. I didn't get the education that I felt against what we went through in Iraq.
Yes.
Education in Iraq is just so much, I wouldn't call it advanced, but harder.
Yes.
It was, you had to actually study. You could not study and pass and move on to the next class. Where here, you didn't really do much study. This is a public school I'm talking about.
Sure.
Not a private school. So if you didn't pass, it was okay. I found it so loose and no commitment to study. So didn't do much with the high school. And so after leaving school and did jobs here and there and really just wasted a lot of time not doing much with my life until at later years I decided to go back to studies and I took up advanced diploma in accountancy, then I did my degree in accounting, and then eventually I got myself a...
We're gonna get back to that in a second and your accounting experience and where you've used it. But I wanted to ask you one question about Iraq. You are in I would say a privileged position whereby you were born in Iraq and spent some of your childhood there, and then you returned later on.
I did.
And you must have an opinion about how it's changed, and you must also have an opinion on the future of our people in the homeland.
The first question, how it's changed. So when I had the opportunity, it was an exciting opportunity, I have to tell you, to go back to Iraq. And this was about 2010. My mum and I went back. Dad was gone by then, of course. And we didn't travel to Baghdad, where we were sort of, where I was sort of, I had memories of. So we went to Nohadra. Today they call it Duhok, but it's Assyrian, it's Nohadra. I keep saying to everybody, it's Nohadra. In any case, we went to Nohadra and we stayed there for a couple of weeks. And I have to say, when the plane started to go from Syria over Iraq, I said to Mum, "We're over Iraq?" She said, "Yes." And it just tears started to, emotions. And anyway, so when we got there, we drove. When we got there, I loved everything about the things that we did there, because it's all about Assyrian, nothing else. So it has changed in many, many ways, because I remember in my dad's days, he used to say they were very limited with things that they used to do. For instance, the dramas they used to try and do in the functions, where in Nohadra, northern Iraq, Syrians were a bit more protective there under the Kurds. So they had the opportunity to...
As in protected by the Kurds or protective from the Kurds?
By the Kurds.
Okay.
So they were a lot more freer. They could do a lot more. I mean, for example, we've got about 34 odd primary and high schools in the whole of Iraq, and it's the whole curriculum is in Assyrian. So that's amazing in itself. So when we visited those classes, and there was none of that when my dad's days. When we left Iraq, there was none of that. I believe in Kirkuk, and because I don't have memory, and I hear stories about my parents, they had an Assyrian school, but I'm not sure if the level of the subjects were as far as the normal primary and primary schools were actually they would get certifications that they were finished their high school. So I wasn't sure about that, but I know the schools today that we have in Nohadra and all over Iraq, definitely the curriculum is translated from Arabic to Assyrian, and it's all taught in Assyrian.
That's fantastic.
Subject.
That's really fantastic.
Sitting the first time in one of those classes, watching the teacher speaking in Assyrian and the children, primary school and high school, talking to each other and talking to the school teacher, it just something, a treasure. This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life when I saw that. And not many people actually understand how important that is to our culture today, especially.
Mm.
So,
why is that?
Well, first of all, I mean, because there's only few of us left in Iraq, and because of all these atrocities that we've been through, the language itself, if we don't keep those schools going and the language going alive in our homeland, the language becomes completely endangered. So the Assyrian language completely disappear. And that's something we've got to really keep working hard at.
Why the language? Why is the language important? We are Assyrian.
True. It's one of our identity. So sure, we can say we're Assyrian, but hey, what is Assyrian? What language do you speak? What's your culture? What do you do? So one of the things that identifies a culture like Assyrian by their language. Okay, you're right. You don't have to speak Assyrian to be Assyrian. I agree with you. If you've got that Assyrian fire in you, as they say, but the language keeps you going. Funny enough, you say that when we left for the first time, we travelled to Turkey, Mum and I. So I grabbed a newspaper at the airport, and it was in English. It was Turkish newspaper. So, and I was just reading just general, and then I went because when we left Iraq, driving from Nohadra to Erbil is about 2-hour drive in a car. Both Mum and I were very frustrated and angry at I have to say the word, at the Kurds, because what we found out while we were there, 60 years ago, Nohadra was all Assyrians. Today, there's only a very small amount of Assyrians. It's all Kurds, and it's all built up. It's like their city, not ours anymore. And you see their flag on the mountain from a distance. You see all that, and you feel furious. And then I questioned the driver. He was Assyrian, taking us from... I said, I feel so angry and so frustrated. He says, why? He said, we've left our home. And, he was meaning us, of course. He says, Assyrians have left their homes. They're going to take it. It's there for them. It's easy for them to take it. He said, it's our fault. I mean, he was living there. He tried to say it indirectly to me. And he was spot on. He was right on the money, as they say. Once we arrived to the airport, what made me feel a tiny little bit better, and just this is towards my Assyrianism, reading the social part in that paper about the Kurds. So the Kurds have a language that's borrowed and begged and mixed up with all so different languages. And only very small amount of people in Turkey, Turks I meant to say, not Kurds, in Turkey actually speak the native language.
So you mean Turkish is very much a mix, a melange of languages?
Yeah, their general language is not their normal native language.
That's right. They've borrowed a lot of words from Arabic.
Yes.
Greek.
Yeah, exactly.
Even Assyrian. But it's at its root Mongol language.
Yes.
Because they're a Mongol race.
So themselves and the Kurds and the Iranians are from the same...
Indo-Aryan language group.
Yeah. So when I saw the commenting was that they were struggling. I mean, Turkey is such a vast country. They were struggling with the language to keep it safe. They didn't teach it in schools much. So, and I thought to myself, wow, look at this. I just left Nohadra knowing we've got so many schools, all in Assyrian, keeping the language up in the middle of somewhere that we don't even run or govern, although it's our homeland. And his mighty Turkey can't even keep its own native going in the way we did. So I was very proud of our Assyrians.
Yeah.
And it made me feel, I said, Mum, I feel better now reading this. Because now we can say we're doing well, even though we don't have our own homeland.
Did your mum want to come along with you?
Oh, definitely. Every time. Been there about 3 times. And if I say to her today, Mum, without COVID, of course, Mum, Dazach, she's ready. She'll be packed and ready before I'm. And she's 85.
Wow. Touch wood.
And every time, if I can continue, tell me when to stop, because I've had a lot of memories being in Iraq. So I went back twice after that. And I'm really, to be honest, I'd like to go back soon again. As soon as the COVID is over, I want to go back and just be part of them again.
We've chatted before this interview, and I'm going to be open and honest with you. You weren't familiar with the Assyrian podcast.
No.
And I just want to point you out to prior episodes where we have interviewed, well, not me, but my colleagues have interviewed women, particularly women, and this is very impressive, women from the West who've actually moved back to the homeland, moved back to Iraq. One of them, there's 2 of them, Susan Yohanan, and there's also Melinda Khobiar, and they live in Erbil. Oh, I think one of them lives in Erbil, one of them lives outside of Erbil. And they've shared their experience as Westerners born in the US, living in Iraq, Assyrian women. And I thought that was amazing.
It is.
I think it's really a beacon. They are a beacon of where we should be.
And it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, because your standard of living is completely different. The culture is different, the language is different, although you've got Assyrians living there, but still the government's different every way. But, it's how you apply yourself, always, I think. So if you really have that go and you want to really be there, well, you can do it. So it'll be hard initially, I guess, trying to get used to the way things are done there. Eventually, you can live and be comfortable. Yeah.
May I ask what brought you to Iraq?
Yes, of course. So it's been a little while. I've been part of this organisation, one of the amazing organisation, I think, on this face of earth, for the Assyrians, that is. Assyrian Aid Society.
Oh, this organisation. It is a world famous organisation that nearly every listener to the Assyrian podcast knows.
Oh, okay.
Or donates to already.
Well, Lil, I'm so thankful and grateful.
Oh no! Our listeners know the Assyrian Aid Society very well.
That's nice to know. That's really nice to know. I being with an organisation for nearly 20 years, didn't have such a beautiful feedback before. I mean, we're involved in a lot of the radios and so forth. There's no feedback with Assyrians much. You just just presume everything's fine. But when you get a feedback like that, it feels great. And I'm going to share it with my colleagues, with my committee people. So early 1999, my brother actually was a founder. I mean, there was a few people that used to work. They would go to people's houses and collect money, and it wasn't registered and so forth. So my brother met with one of those people and he said, look, let me take it on and really bring it up to...
Who did your brother speak with? Was he speaking with anyone in the United States about this?
No,
the US chapter?
No, someone from Australia.
Oh, okay.
Someone from Australia, Frederick...
Oraha.
Yes. So in those days, I think they used to do this manual work, very little collect. So there was a movement. And then, Yoash said, no, we've got to do something about this. So he took it on.
Yoash, your brother?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we got registered then, and then only a couple of years later he asked me to become the treasurer. And that's when I just started doing my university degree.
So you just started your uni degree then?
Yeah, I was 40 when I started doing my degree. I was late, but
no, don't say that.
I enjoyed actually doing it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Career change.
Oh, yes, I did.
You're not stuck with the one line of work.
I really like the change, so, and to better. And so doing that degree and doing a treasury work, it sort of helped both ways and helped more Assyrian Aid Society, which... So treasury work for the first 10 years, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't travel to Iraq till 10 years of me being there, and then I stayed another 10 years. So during the next 10 years, I went to Iraq 3 times. But while the second 10 years of me being with Assyrian Aid Society, I mean, everyone, as you said, they know Assyrian Aid Society, what it does initially is its main core is actually to keep the Assyrians in Iraq and to keep the language preserved there. That's the whole crock.
Is that the core mission?
Yes. So the Assyrians don't flee Iraq, so we can still have a home and eventually, maybe one day, we all hope to have that some sort of autonomy there. And that's the basic of it. Even, I'm not saying a government, but just something. And especially, as we know, Nineveh Plains, it's all been fighting for. So over the years, Assyrian Aid Society Australia was able to gain the status for the United Nations for Iraq to be able to represent Assyrians at United Nations.
Who afforded that?
We did here. We put all the application together for Assyrian Aid Society Iraq.
So on behalf of Assyrian Aid Society Iraq, you've made an application to the United Nations asking for, was it?
It's a status where you can apply. What happens with that? You will be able to attend all these meetings there.
And is it an Indigenous Peoples Forum or something like that?
Yes, that's the one. It's exactly that one.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's others, and Ashur Skaria, which is the president
of Assyrian Aid Society in Iraq. Yeah.
He also attends Geneva, where the human rights, they meet regularly there. Twice a year, I think they do. But more so with us, with Australia, we always went to New York for our meetings once a year. So that started to happen in 2013 when we got our status there.
We went to New York because it's much closer.
Well, we only knew about the New York at the time. We knew about Geneva, and it was actually going to Geneva is much more. It has more impact because it's all to do with human rights. Where in New York it's more indigenous type of thing. So,
were there voting? Was there any voting in these forums, or was it basically
no voting? No,
it was basically a advocacy.
Yes, I mean, they'd have an agenda. It'll be 2 weeks full of agenda, and they'll be talking on different topics. So each topic that you think you can contribute to it, you'd put a statement through.
Were you meeting with other Indigenous groups around the world?
No. We tried to. It gets a bit more complicated. We were on our own each time, but we would meet the Aborigines of Australia there. I'd always go and take photos and talk, which I really enjoyed being with them. And there'll be several Aborigines presenting their society there.
Because I heard your accent.
Well, actually, I heard them. I saw them. There's hundreds and hundreds of people there in the assembly. And so you deliver a statement and everyone hears you.
Yeah.
Those statements are always prepared by Iraq, and then we would present it. It wouldn't be like myself sitting there and reading. I wouldn't write them. I would make sure that it was written in Iraq because it's their situation, how they are, and we would present it at that level. And it's been happening since 2013. Each year, of course, except for last year, we missed out. We may even miss out this year. But once COVID is over, we will be back on that again.
Have you noticed any outcomes from these meetings? Have you noticed any results?
Immediate outcomes.
Recognitions?
Yes. Initially, there was immediate outcomes, and I don't want to go on this to go in details, but initially, because there was some constraints at the time, and I recall by doing what we did, that constraint was relieved in Iraq. And then we were, at times we were limited to what we say. We got orders from Iraq coming in from the government to say, can't say this and so forth. And then eventually we were okay. So we knew eventually how to react in those meetings. So we're not doing too much damage to our people in Iraq.
I see.
And we were told if we have any issues.
You don't want to elaborate on the sort of damage.
No, and I don't want to. But we do have a representation that they go to Iraq from United Nations and talk to Ashur in private. So there's all that going on. And Ashur himself takes quite a few trips each year to Geneva, attends these human rights meetings. It's all about our people, what they're going through in Iraq at present time. And as you know, and I mean, there's a lot of land grabbing. There's a lot of issues with that. And that's still happening today. I mean...
It's the Kurds land grabbing.
Yes.
How do they do it?
Well, sometimes they put people under... for instance, I think one time they burnt the whole plantation of trees, of fruit trees. They burnt them. They scare them off and doing these things. So they economically... they can't survive and they leave, so that a lot of that happens. And they try to, for instance, some villages, Assyrians don't allow non-Assyrians to buy. They try to buy them and pay the person who's leaving that village more money so they can bribe them and so they can take that house and eventually take over the village. There's a lot of that. And not much, they can do so much, but there's not a lot of they can do. A lot of that happens in Iraq. Even though, when we talk about people, a lot of those larger villages, most of the young ones, for instance, I'll give you a good example, which I've noticed every time I've been there, our young people are finishing their universities. There's no jobs for them. The Kurds will not give them the good jobs. They will give them doing cleaning. They won't give them the job as, for instance, if they're engineers or they're teachers or, a good profession, they won't give them those jobs. So those young people, hundreds and hundreds of them have left Iraq to better life and career in Europe and here in America. It's only the older people, and a lot of those villages are staying behind. So you can see how weak that makes our cause in Iraq. Very weak.
Yes.
Our problem is very big, and it's not just us. It's Iraq as a whole. Iraq is especially today, and I think it's really in a bad situation.
The whole country. Yeah, of course.
Now it's between the Iranians and the Americans. So it's always somebody trying to rule it, if you like, outside Iraq. It's not the Iraqis. You've got a very weak government, as we know, and corrupt government. I remember doing a course, and there was a list of countries, the highest corrupt and the least corrupt. 300 out of the 300 countries, 298, the highest corrupt Iraq was. So you can imagine the corruption there. You can imagine the society that lives under that corruption for years and years and years. Our people live there as well.
Sure.
The countries are, if you like, politically, economically, socially broken in every aspect. People are, and then now with COVID, speaking to Ashur only about 6-8 weeks ago, he said, Shoushan, the situation is really bad.
Humanitarian-wise?
Humanitarian-wise with COVID. Normal, not just Assyrians, but just public. People to go into a hospital to have just get oxygen, he said, it's so hard. And the government is not really doing much with that. So the COVID situation is pretty bad. Assyrian Aid Society Australia has done a couple of fundraising, which I'd like to thank everyone, which they really contributed to it. Only about 6 months ago we did that. We were able to help to buy equipment and hygiene stuff and food for people that couldn't get food. You see, it's not just the COVID people are struggling with. Economically, people haven't been paid for their work. So the ones that are working, because Baghdad, the central government, and Kurds have this conflict over
territory,
financials more so because the oil business. One doesn't pay the other, so they don't pay their workers and so forth. So the Kurds are not paying the people who are actually working for months and months. So and there's no government benefits like we have here. There's none of that. How do people survive? Some people have these emergency survival things that they keep for themselves, but not all of them are in the same situation. So how do you look after those? This is where Assyrian Aid Society comes in. This is what's so important. And it's not just the humanitarian aspect. There's all these other departments. It's like I feel like a mini government where it looks after the education part, the humanitarian part,
infrastructure.
I mean, how many water channels Assyrian Aid Society has built?
I've seen heaps. Every time I read Tree of Life, which is your annual publication,
yes.
I always see one.
Yes.
Shaqita, Shaqita, Shaqita.
Well, last time 2017, I was there.
But it's important.
This is their water for their agriculture. So
that's right. It's their
livelihood. So we were going to Nahla from Nohadra, a drive, terrible road. Again, Kurds government because
how far is Nahla from Nohadra?
It's a long drive. To be honest with you, I couldn't estimate maybe an hour out, 2 hours.
Yeah, on a really bad road.
I mean, we were driving on a 4-wheel drive. Within half an hour, I was trying to say, I've got to stop the car. I'm feeling sick. It was that bad.
Wow.
So I said to myself, look at the government. They know this road is for the Assyrians. They're not going to fix it. Anyway, so we took a drive there and we went to this project that they were working on. Local men working on the water channel project. We took photos there. They were building concrete, proper wide channel for the water. And that was, of course, eventually completed. But Assyrian Aid Society doesn't just collect funds from just the Assyrian Aid Society worldwide. It has many other organisations, non-Assyrian organisations, that actually contribute to those projects.
Is that right?
Yes. And they're always listed on the we always list them on the Tree of Life, which you just mentioned.
Yeah.
What happens each year?
Are they these Christian type charities?
There's a couple of those, yes. You've got the ones from Germany. There's 1 or 2 churches in Germany. These are churches, not Assyrian churches. These are German churches that actually contribute to our. There was a company in Geneva years ago, Soul Foundation, I recall, that they used to help with projects. And it didn't have to be a water channel. It could be anything. We also have mobile clinics. These mobile clinics, again in 2017, they'd have a doctor and an assistant, a pharmacist, a driver, and they would have everything prepared, the medicines, and would go from village to village once a week. They'd take right around those villages where they needed medication, free of charge, no charge.
Were the doctors Assyrian or?
Yes. She was Krasiantes, Mosulanta. So she was from
Mosul.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I might offend, I call them Assyrians in denial.
That's all right. Look, they're all human beings, so it doesn't matter. It was so good to see that the people from those villages. I remember Bakhitme. I don't know if you've heard of Bakhitme. Closest to Nohadra is one of the villages. And so Assyrians being so kind and generous, not only did they serve the Assyrian people there with their blood pressure and medications and all that sort of thing, they had Yazidis living among them, and they were able to come to get medication as well. We did food rations as well to those villages because I was part of because I wanted just to be part of everything that they were doing. So they gave out food rations, and it would include rice and oil and tea and those sort of things. So Assyrians gave to the non-Assyrians as well. So the Assyrian Aid Society would not only provide anything that would give out, not just to the Assyrian, whoever lived in that village as well.
So you had Yazidis.
Sorry?
There were Yazidis living in that village?
Yes, Yazidis in that Bekhitmeh village, I recall. But let me go back 2008. There was a small war in Mosul, and I remember Assyrian Aid Society back then. There was a lot of Assyrians trapped in there. They needed food and stuff. So Assyrian Aid Society drove into Mosul, and it had blankets and food and all sorts of things in there, and they were helping the non-Assyrians that they were in trouble as well. I found that fascinating because that was my first, 8 years in Assyrian Aid Society, the first time I heard that we were helping the non-Assyrians, like the Arabs of the locals.
Some people would find that more than fascinating. Some people would find that curious.
Good. I hope that positive curious. Not, yeah.
I'm not speaking on my behalf.
No.
I'm just saying that I know that there would be people who might say, why are they helping non-Assyrians?
Well, when you say for instance, so when you're living in a country like that and you're under a huge crisis, so people come together naturally under crisis, and I think that's how Assyrian Aid Society works. And I think not only Assyrian, I think any other organisation under crisis like these, they would help each other. You just can't help one human being and not the other. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, and I think that's how Assyrian Aid Society thinks. So I found that fascinating at the time. But then I thought to myself, this is Assyrian Aid Society. This is in a crisis. And even now, I mean, as I said, when 2017, because 2017 was a reflection of 2014 ISIS. 3 years after that, people are still stuck in places where they shouldn't be, still out of their...
There were still refugees in Erbil.
Correct. I have to say, I've seen miles and miles of tents, not Assyrians, Yazidis living in tents still till today. This is 2017 I saw that. 3 years later, they're still living in those tents. So it was really heartbreaking to see that. And the government, of course, not like Australia, we have such a great country and great government, great system to help people everywhere. And that doesn't exist there. You've got to help yourself there. And that's why they know how to survive. And so they always understand there's always going to be crisis, and they have all these emergency survival kits to keep them going.
I want to ask about your Assyrianism. Has that always been a spark inside you?
Always.
Or was it lit at some time?
Always. I recall, a good question. So not so much in Iraq, because I think I was too young to understand, but coming out here and then went to high school, teaching at school didn't interest me. The classes didn't interest me at all because it was so different to Iraq. So there was no discipline in the class. And when you come from Iraq, you could not even speak a boo to your teacher. So you always had to be, in direct with the teacher, complete discipline, complete respect. There was none of that here. So I lost interest very early. So when we used to go to library, all I did was trying to find an Assyrian book so I could read about Assyrians.
Why?
Because my parents said to me we were Assyrians, and that's all I knew. And we'd speak Assyrian, didn't know how to read Assyrian, but I wanted to know about Assyrians. So I would just pick up books in the library and just read about Assyrians. It started then.
Ancient Assyrians, I bet.
Yes, of course. So I started doing that then. And then, of course, when I left high school, all my friends were Assyrians. So I knew, and what was missing, and I knew that, not the history itself, because I knew that was going to come later, the language, the reading and writing. I felt like I was empty, not knowing how to read and write my own language. So when I got matured enough, I went back to school.
Which school?
Well, I went to couple. There was one school in Eden, is it St. John's Park, near the church?
Yeah.
So back then, there was someone who was teaching us. I can't recall the name of that teacher.
This is Assyrian school?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe it was, I can't recall, I don't want to mention any names, but
Sure.
I know we went to another school, was run by AAA at Fairfield, where they call now the ARC. Oman Ulkan was our teacher, and he taught us Assyrian. So for me to start to read Assyrian, I found that I've found my treasure. It was like a treasure to me. I don't know what value would you put on a treasure. There's no value, actually. It was like I was living. That's how I felt. So when Assyrian Aid Society, so when you start to put things together, you think, okay, you love Assyrian. Assyrian Aid Society looks education in Iraq. It's all handled by Assyrian Aid Society, Assyrian education. They both fitted very well. My love for my language and what Assyrian Aid Society does for Assyrians in Iraq to keep the language going. It was very important for me. Still is today very much.
Language.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think what is it? Is it a woman thing? I mean, I don't have any children. So I think if I did have, they would be all fluently reading and writing Assyrian, knowing the history. So now, I mean, I read a lot about our history, comment about history, and just being with my nationality. I mean, I love being Assyrian. I feel very privileged to be Assyrian.
Likewise. I feel the same. I went to Assyrian school when I was young. I learned Assyrian, but I didn't take much with me from the classes, to be very blunt and honest. I taught myself Assyrian.
Well done.
On the internet. And I'm also fortunate to have the internet. You didn't have the internet when you were young. So it was hard to find the relevant information that you're after. Whereas I just searched for it and it just came straight through. And I taught myself Assyrian, so I can read and write Assyrian. My problem is my vocabulary is weak. Yeah. That's my issue.
Practice.
Yeah.
Speaking at home. And this is another thing. My dad, and when we're growing up, the English, it just dominates you because you're at school all day or at work all day. And so you speak English most of the time. And so you bring that home. It was like that. I think, So at home, it had to be Assyrian.
Yeah.
I mean, not just Assyrian. No Arabic, no English, Assyrian.
Yeah.
So Dad was very strict with that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we were able, especially my younger brother, he was only 5. He can still speak Assyrian. And he actually went to Assyrian school to read and write. He had the privileges in those days, so we didn't have. We got older, but as you get older, I think once you mature, if you have that love and passion, you will pursue it, and that's what we did. I did that. My older brother did the same, and my younger sister now she's actually studying Assyrian.
That's great.
And I encourage every adult to do that.
Yeah,
they'll find a new world. That's how I found myself, and I was alive again.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Shoushan Tower, thank you very, very much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
You're welcome.
اليوم كد خانشرة من رافد زوعة تراخي لمشانويلة هنا بتهاوي خا كخوة من أجل جانا قشمية أمتن سب لوي آشور ليلك شختت أمرخ قالي وشونيلة مثل برشلة منا لا خانشرة لبتهاوي كخوة قشمية دي أمتا من سبب لوي آشور شويقة لخشوفها رابا جورا قزوعة قماث دقاني قبرور وقومته كلها لو آشر شويقة لخشوفة قلبواتة البايد ناشد سنيقة قمت غدني أسرشني بشيطة لإيدة هيرتها وهما شئيوا مارة رخمة وخا قروتانا طلاشة قبط خاطر زدقة أمته قبط خاطر زدقة داها أمته طلمته لا أخشي قبط خاطر برور دوس إديوم برور بخسارة لخا أرزة مردة خا جورة مردة إن أب أمته بخسارة لأب زوعة بخسارة لأها جورة مردة لا تخبران الخيمة وخشيخة دزوتة أمرخلة قشوناية لويا آشور إن قولا يولخ قلويا آشور قلويا خينتين مشوني قم لويا آشور لخا قبرور شركة شوفانة خينة أخنن بيشاني إيوخ أمينايل دي ميزلتا بتآزغ لقامة كمتهاوي أسقوياته خيلا بدارخلة واجبوت المكملخلة أخنوخن إيتون قماي وأخنن إيوخ باروخن هلا قلت ما مخلة واليتا دياني شوخة ورمرامة روخت لويا آشور كت بتخرخلة قد خارت أربي تريشة تست زوعة لدوي قالي يعني باشي وأن طلا يومان خين زي خفوة مغدادة بس خفوة مغدادة بمولادة زوعة إنا جبونية مريلة أخن كلن إيوخ رازق مجبونية مريم من يخلو خي قديوخن كلوخن جانوخن بس موتول بيشركتوخن هضرتوخن من دو ذهب ويا أسيم يا رب